for your right to
Now, we associate post-traumatic stress with those who've experienced volatile situations, but our next guest, stress management consultant Sarah Bird, says that it can also affect those who have lost their jobs.
So what should you do if you think someone in your family is suffering from it? Sarah Bird joins us now. You're very welcome to the morning show.
Good morning.
The symptoms of post-traumatic stress are what?
They can kick in with things like insomnia, with being very, very withdrawn, lack of communication with the family, disorganised, hot sweats, volatile emotions, very tearful, not being able to contain your emotions. Those would be some of the things that would show symptoms of it.
Now, you've worked with a lot of people who've experienced post-traumatic stress disorder over the years. With your work, you've worked with like ex-servicemen. You've been in areas where they've had suffered earthquakes, you know, life and death situations, which you would normally associate people who've been through life and death situations to have that. But I would never have thought that you could have developed post-traumatic stress syndrome from losing your job.
Well, it's possible that anybody can be affected, and it largely depends on the person's support system and their coping mechanisms. But PTSD is short for post-traumatic stress disorder, and it can affect anybody at any time if they've had a severe shock to the system. And it's really around loss of their safety. If you feel that your safety is in danger and everything that you know falls away from you and changes, that could be enough. But not everybody who's lost a job would experience that.
It takes a number of years to develop.
It can do. Certainly, if someone is very, very stressed at the time of losing their job or immediately after losing their job, that can just be someone is very, very stressed. And that's not to put too light a note on it, because that in itself creates a lot of problems for people. But PTSD is normally diagnosed a considerable time after the event, when someone is not recovering from it. And I think that's the indicator.
Okay. What can you do to remedy it? If somebody watching this morning has been out of work, say, for a year and a half, 2 years, what could they do if they think they're going through this?
Well, I mean, I see a lot of people from all different walks of life, and I see people who are in work as well as out of work, suffering from a lot of stress and anxiety. The most important thing to do is to talk to someone. We don't know what's going on in someone's head. So when someone retreats into themselves and they do find it difficult to talk, actually that's the worst thing that they can do, that you've got to start telling people that you're struggling, because you know your outwardly symptoms, how you're exhibiting it through your day-to-day behaviour, maybe cutting yourself off, maybe drinking, becoming isolated, that worries people around you. But unless you actually say, hey guys, I'm having a problem, there is very, very little that can be done. Tough for a man to say. It's very, very tough. I mean, men are expected to be the providers, you know, and much as there are a lot of women out there with very, very good jobs and working to keep the family together, it's this whole identity about man being the hunter-gatherer provider. It's particularly tough for a man to lose their job, and with that you lose your identity and your self-esteem, and that really knocks your confidence.
So what's the difference then? You know, we hear a lot of people who lose their jobs who you know, fall into a depression. How do you know the difference between the two? Well, people can have depression. Clinical depression is an actual illness, and it's caused often by chemical imbalances in the body, whereas becoming depressed after, say, losing a job can be literally coming from the loss of self-esteem, the loss of confidence, the stress that causes not having the motivation to get out and get going. That's very, very different. And I mean, I would have experienced this myself, because in our family, my own partner was made redundant in 2009, and it's taken him quite a long time to get back on his feet again, because there's this whole thing of loss of identity, and loss of faith is a huge thing for men particularly. I don't think you can really put too light a note on that.
Well, thank you very much for coming in to talk to us today. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. But your advice is, if you are in this situation, get yourself out of the house.
Get out of the house.
At some point in the day, get out of the house.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily walk towards a pub. Just get out of the house. Take the dog for a walk. Do something.
Yeah.
And
get yourself back into humanity. Don't stay isolated. And please talk to someone. That's so important that you start talking to someone. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming in to talk to us.
Thank you.
Okay.